I can't see you because I don't have that tech savvy. But that's okay. I've been chewing on this, trying for a little bit, trying to condense it, so I'm just going to say, I think God is helping me to be more like Deborah and just let him guide and lead me through this instead of me doing my own agenda. So I titled it, What is Your Song? Because it's about the Song of Deborah in Judges 5. And I think of that in the sense we all have a song, so to speak, regarding our life. It can be a happy song. It can be, as we call, a country song. And some of you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of the house. My dog broke its leg. It just goes on. And I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying sometimes we're just in a bad spot in life. And it is what it is. I still would suggest, because I have done it, where no matter what my song is at the time, it helps sometimes to write it out and give it to God. Just like King David. Before I'm going to get into this, I think of King David. When he did his Psalms, and he starts off praising God, and then he gets right into the nitty-gritty of what's bothering him, what's going on. And then he ends it with, but God, I know you're going to take care of this. Now, I want to, Judges 4 and 5, I'm going to try to do a little preview of the prose, Prose, of the song of Deborah, so that you understand where the song's coming from. So Israel had fallen from God, and they turned to the Canaanites' gods. They adopted their idols. And God, being God, decided it was, he was going to, well, he didn't decide. He just lets us suffer our own consequences. And so he just allowed Israel to be oppressed by Sisera, who is the military general of King Jabin. And this was a really cruel king. I mean, he sadistic almost. And Sisera was the same way. And they had 900 what they called chariots fitted with iron. So back in that day, that would be equivalent of having a tank coming down your street. I mean, we don't have weaponry to protect ourselves from a tank. They didn't have the weaponry to fight people with this type of chariot. And therefore, they terrorized the Israelites, and they were farmers and shepherds, and Sisera would his army would come down the road, and they would take whatever they wanted on the farms. Heaven forbid, if they had their kids or young people, they'd take them for slaves. They treated women horrible. So at that point, all the Israelites were really kind of stuck in the house. It was very hard for even the men to go somewhere, to go to the other farmer to maybe buy, trade off crops, or even to go to the well to get their water, as you're going to see in the song. It made it very difficult for them because Sisera made sure that he was terrorizing them. Now, there was this woman named Deborah, who was a prophetess. That was one of her titles. And Deborah means bee, B-E-E. And some say it's like a worker bee. Some say like the honeybee, because she was strong, but not harsh. And Deborah had the ability, the heart, really, not just the ability. She had the heart to just bask in God's presence, to the point when she would prophesy, whatever she prophesied, it came to fruition exactly the way she said it. This is how she gained a reputation, for that everybody knew God talked through her. And when she would judge the different disputes in Israel, because well, let me start all over. Her title was prophetess, judge, and leader of Israel. She called herself mother in Israel. And she would meet people as a judge at the palm of Deborah, which was a palm tree located in the hill of the country of Ephraim and between the cities of Ramah and Bethel. And the reason why she would meet there is because it was a central location. Everybody knew where that tree was. And even though they may have to walk a couple of days to get to it. Now, Deborah, when she had to settle a dispute, she would listen to both sides and she would pray and then give them God's, what God gave her to tell them. So her job wasn't always easy, because if you're a prophet, sometimes you're saying things that people don't want to hear, but she did it. And people understood who she was. Now, Deborah also, she knew what was going on in the land, because people would come to her and tell her, they're struggling with Sisera and his military terrorizing them. And it took God 20 years. Now, of course, I say it took God 20 years. He waited 20 years because to prepare the people that he had chosen to win this war. He was preparing, because there was so many people that were in this, that they had a part to play. And it was Deborah's faith and obedience that made it imperative for her to lead the people, because she could communicate what he wanted. And God's plan did require different people to fulfill the specific roles in bringing about Israel's deliverance. So the Lord showed Deborah exactly what military leader that she wanted her to choose. So it was Barak. Now I'm going to say Barak because he has three different ways of saying the name. I choose that one. Anyway, God said, I want him to be the general that's going to lead the army. She didn't just say, ask him if he'll come to me. She summoned him. That says a lot for a woman in that time. And she didn't just, talk around it. She went straight to him and said, this is what God wants you to do. He wants you to lead this army. Now, Barak had a knowledge of who Sisera was and his army, and he was a very capable soldier, very well known as a good leader. So, but I also, God knew, sorry, my dog's barking. God knew that he had what his heart was, and that he would lead the people. He would lead this army. Barak knew that I believe he knew that God would be with him. But when Deborah said, this is what God wants you to do, I want you to lead it. And Barak says, well, I'm not going to go. I want you to come with me, or I'm not fighting this war. I don't think that was him being a coward. I think it was him actually using a little wisdom, but it was also him not having the confidence that God would talk to him like he talked to Deborah. And that sometimes happens to all of us. We may miss out on a little bit of a blessing. Maybe not anything terrible, like in this respect, the consequence of him saying, I'm not going without you. Then Deborah said, well, because the course you took, there will be the honor will go to a woman who will kill Sisera. And I don't think it bothered him to the point, it didn't bother him that it stopped him. He continued to doing what she told him, and they walked side by side, and they chose 10,000 men to be in this army. And but I really going back to him wanting Deborah, to me, it reminds me of Moses saying, send me, send Aaron with me. I often wonder if he didn't have Aaron with him, would God have corrected that speech impediment he had? Because I know God would want Pharaoh to understand him completely when he was telling him something. Could he have made him talk very clear when he just talked to Pharaoh, or could have he healed him altogether? But that kind of stuck out to me because there's little things that we had because we don't think we're good enough, or we don't think we're going to hear what God said. He's human. I know part of that could have been, if this goes south, if it gets really, really bad, I want Deborah to be with me so we have two of us to be accountable, not just me being accountable. And also, to his defense, I try to look at both sides. He's in the heat of the battle. He wants to make sure, what if I don't hear God right? God's telling me to do something different. And so, but the bottom line is God talks to all of us. And then, so God told Deborah to tell him, meet at Mount Tabor, because that was going to give him the advantage. They're going to be up high, because God was going to lead Sisera down the valley by the river Kishon. That's where he was going to make sure he went in that way. And so they got their 10,000 soldiers, and Sisera was probably looking at these soldiers. These soldiers were really shepherds and farmers. And he's looking at them like, oh, this is ridiculous. I'm going to teach them a lesson. Because he wasn't a nice man. There was had no mercy. He didn't care about anybody. And so he was like, I will destroy them, but I'm going to make sure that they will never come against us again. And here, 10,000 is a large army. It's large enough to be an army, but it was small enough. They needed a miracle. They couldn't beat Sisera just with the 10,000 men and against his chariots. So God stepped in on the scene. And this is where this military action was through obedience from Deborah and Barak, just doing everything that God did, so that this whole war was God's army. Like you kids sing the song, I'm in God's army. This literally was God's army, because he told both Deborah and Barak, I want you to pick out. I'll tell you who to pick out. And they did. And they formed that army. And then when Sisera got in the valley with all his great chariots, the Lord came in, and he opened the skies on them. And it said that the earth was shaking. The mountain was sliding down. That sounds like a mudslide to me. And those chariots got stuck in the mudslide. But not only that, that river's filling up. So now they have to bail out of the equipment that they relied on to win their wars. They had to bail out. And this was a war that God wanted every one of them destroyed. And his army was able to go and kill every one of them. He tracked them down and killed them. Sisera was being the brave general, basically jumped out of his chariot and ran. And he ran, and he went not like a road where everybody would see him. He went up the hills to the Kenites, because he knew they had more of a neutral or peaceful. They had this peace arrangement that they just didn't bother each other. They weren't going to bother him, and his army wasn't going to bother them. But when Jael, she saw him and knew exactly who he was, and so she had a split decision, which the way it ended, we know that it was God giving her that decision, because she was like, okay, I know who he is, and he's going to kill my people. If I harm him, or my people are going to die. If I don't, my people are still in trouble with him. If I hide him in my tent, I'm still in trouble. And maybe those thoughts came split second, but she ran up to him and said, which was kind of odd, "Don't be afraid. Come in, and I'll protect you. Come in and rest." For a woman to run up to a military soldier, a general, and say, "Don't be afraid." Now, he didn't even pick up on that. But this is part of her deceiving him, like, "Come on in, I'll protect you." And he was dying of thirst, and he said, "I want water." And so she gave him milk, and she gave it to him in a nice dish. Well, milk has amino acids in it that relaxes you, causes you to sleep. She wasn't being nice. She knew it would cause him to sleep. Water energizes you. So she did that. She was very methodical what she was doing. And then, if you know the story, she took the peg of a tent and hammered it into his temple and killed him. And then when she got out of the tent, here's Barak running up, because he's following, the trail. And she goes, "Oh, come in my tent. Come and look, he's here." And he saw that he was dead. So here, this nomadic woman, she wasn't even an Israelite, was honored for, actually, she ended the war, technically. She killed the military. But then it didn't. Eventually, the Israelites did get King Jabin. They got him. He died. So the whole kingdom was destroyed because of God fighting fighting for them, or setting everything up for this war. Now, I'm going to do something a little different, because I wasn't going to do this. And then I thought, if I talk about this song, you're really not, because there's points I want to point out in this song. And I feel the song is empowering when you read it. I want to get volunteers to help me read this, and I'm going to hit on some points that I have. But I think if I just summarize the points, and I see I have time, it's not going to make as much sense. So anybody, I can't see a hand raised. So can somebody jump in and read verses 1 through 5?
I can read 1 through 5.
Okay, thanks.
Who can read 6 through 8?
Okay.
Anybody?
I'll read it.
Asking who are you?
Ernestine will do 6 through 8.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Then Deborah and Barak, the son of Abinoam, sang on that day, saying, "When leaders lead in Israel, when the people willingly offer themselves, bless the Lord. Hear, O kings, give ear, O princes. I, even I, will sing to the Lord. I will sing praise to the Lord God of Israel. Lord, when you went out from Seir, when you marched from the field of Edom, the earth trembled and the heavens poured. The clouds also poured water. The mountains gushed before the Lord, this Sinai before the Lord God of Israel."
Okay, Ernestine, give me 2 seconds. Okay, so this is the praise and the theophany. The theophany means it's a visible, tangible, or audible manifestation of a deity to a human. In other words, God shook that earth. God showed them he was on the scene. And this was just what Barak and Deborah, they immediately sang praises. All right, go ahead, Ernestine.
All right. In the days of Shamgar, son of Anath, in the days of Jael, the highways were deserted and the travelers walked along the byways. Village life ceased. It ceased in Israel until I, Deborah, arose a mother in Israel. They those new gods, then there was war in the gates. Not a shield or spear was seen among 40,000 in Israel.
So this is the crisis. This song is talking, this part of the song describes the chaotic, oppressive time before the battle where the Sisera and Jabin forced Israelites to abandon the main roads and live in fear. Okay, can somebody read verse 9 through 11?
My heart is with the rulers of Israel, who offered themselves willingly with the people. Bless the Lord. Speak, you who ride on white donkeys, who sit in judges' attire, and who walk along the road. Far from the noise of the archers among the watering places, there they shall recount the righteous acts of the Lord, the righteous acts for his villagers in Israel. Then the people of the Lord shall go down to the gates.
Very good. From fear to freedom. Now the community is being restored. Let's have a little fun. And I'm not challenging anybody. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. It's a song. I'm not going to ask you to sing. I'm not. But kind of maybe say it, like it's a song, get into it. I don't know. You don't have to if you don't want to. So who can do verses 12 through 18?
Do you want that in song?
No. I don't want you to sing it. I'm just thinking like, awake, Deborah. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, it's, just have fun with it.
Debbie, you want to do it?
Or just read it. Don't worry about it. Just read it.
Debbie, if
Debbie,
you're
still
reading, you're
muted.
muted. She's probably
Okay,
reading.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Awake,
That's
Deborah, awake. Sing a song. Arise, Barak, and lead your captive away, O son of Abinadab. Then the survivors came down, the people against the nobles. The Lord came down for me against the mighty. From Ephraim were those whose roots were in Amalek. After you, Benjamin, with your peoples. From Makar, rulers came down, and from Zebulun, those who bear the recruiter's staff. And the princes of Issachar were with Deborah. As Issachar, so was Barak sent into the valley under his command. Among the divisions of Reuben, there were great resolves of heart. Why did you sit among the sheepfolds to hear the pipings for the flocks? The divisions of Reuben have great searching of heart. Gilead stayed beyond the Jordan. And why did Dan remain on ships? Asher continued at the seashore and stayed by his inlets. Zebulun is a people who jeopardize their lives to the point of death. Naphtali also on the heights of the battlefield.
So that was a roll call of tribes. And this is where Deborah was praising the tribes that were part of it, that were willing to risk their lives. But at the same time, she rebukes the tribes. Deborah was all about, if you read through this, all about collaboration, all about who's going to, we're going to work as a team, even for herself. She didn't take credit. She wanted to work as a team. And I don't think I'd want to be those tribes the people that didn't partake, because their names are in the Bible, and the Bible lasted for years and a lot of people read it. But I just thought that was interesting how she praised the one and she rebuked the other. All right, so now somebody can read verses 19 through 23. We're almost done. Just read it. I can't see you. Can I?
I can read 19 through 23. The kings came and fought. Then the kings of Canaan fought in Tanakh by the waters of Megiddo. They took no spoils of silver. They fought from the heavens. The stars from their courses fought against Sisera. The torrent of Kishon swept them away. That ancient torrent, the torrent of Kishon. Oh, my soul, march on in strength. Then the horses' hooves pounded, the galloping of his steeds. Curse Meroz, said the angel of the Lord. Curse its inhabitants bitterly, because they did not come to the help of the Lord, against the mighty.
Thank you. So this is the climax and the battle, and it depicts the actual combat, emphasizing that the human weapons were secondary to God's power, because God used the very weapon the Israelites were intimidated by to destroy their enemy. Especially since they got stuck in the mud, the iron chariots got stuck in the mud. Okay, I'll read the last.
It almost sounds like, but by reading that there's like this month, not monthly, but maybe yearly flood or something that comes, and it came at that time, or it happens regularly on some regular basis. And at that time, the Lord used this torrent of Kishon, the ancient torrent. So it sounds like there was something like in the natural that happens occasionally on a schedule. And it just so happened that God used that to help them win the battle.
Or he did it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I didn't research that, but everything I've researched, it was called supernatural.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think he wanted to show his people, but you may be right. And it doesn't matter. Either way, he did it.
Yeah. Yeah, he used it for sure.
But I don't know that for sure. And it's a good point to make. That was a good point to make. Okay, verses 24 through 31. Most blessed among women is Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Blessed is she among women in tents. He asked for water, she gave milk. She brought out cream in a lordly bowl. She stretched her hand to the tent peg, her right hand to the workman's hammer. She pounded Sisera. She pierced his head. She split and struck through his temple. At her feet he sank, he fell, he lay still. At her feet he sank, he fell. Wait a minute, where am I? He sank, where he sank, there he fell dead. The mother of Sisera looked through the window and cried out through the lattice, why is his chariot so long in coming? Why tarries the clatter of his chariots? Her wisest ladies answered her, yes. She answered herself, are they not finding and dividing the spoil to every man a girl or two? 2 pieces for Sisera, plundered of garments, embroidered and dyed. 2 pieces of dyed embroidery for the neck of the looter. Thus, let all your enemies perish, but let those who love him be like the sun when it comes out full. And I'm missing, hold on. When it comes out full, so the land has rest for 40 years. Okay, so the poem or the song is ending with the story of Jael, the heroine who assassinates the fleeing Canaanite general. But it's interesting because Deborah concludes it almost taunting Sisera's mother, who waits in vain for the spoils of war, ending with a prayer for the defeat of all tyrants. So she ends it with a prayer. Sisera's mother was a type of mother that appeared that condoned the evil her son did. You can be good parents and have adult children that just don't do the right thing. That doesn't make you a bad parent, but it doesn't describe her as praying at the lattice that her son would do right. She's waiting for worldly material, worldly happiness, while Deborah was on the other spectrum, waiting on God to talk to her spiritually. She's waiting on the spiritual side of it. I just wanted to go quickly through this, and then I had maybe a couple questions. Maybe we could talk. if we have some time. So Deborah was the prophetess, a spiritual leader and messenger who spoke God's words to the people. She was a judge, an official leader, an arbiter who settled disputes for the nation, and she was a mother in Israel. That was a title she gave herself, a title recognizing her maternal care, guidance, and nurturing of the nation. Jael was resourceful, fiercely courageous, strategic and deceptive, non-traditional. And then you had Sisera. Well, now I just lost his name. Help me, somebody.
Sisera.
Thank you, mother. Yeah, I don't know why mine went blank. Grieving mother, clueless. I felt clueless, and supported evil actions. So I think I'm going to try. How do I get back to you? All right, show my screen, stop presenting. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Anyway, there was so much to get from this. And this was my problem. So I prayed about it and asked God. And I feel like, we're all one time or another can be a modern day Deborah, and we can be a Jael. Now, modern day Deborah means that we are in tune to God. We are in charge of our household, so to speak. We can communicate what God wants for our kids or in our community. If we stay in prayer, God can use us that way on the job, in the schools. We are also can be Jael, where we are spiritual, we fight spiritual warfare. She was a homemaker. That's the other thing. You went from Deborah to a homemaker. That doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter our age. God has a plan for us. And even though you're going through something, it may not take 20 years for God to get everything ready. But when I have to wait, I always say, okay, God's either preparing me, or he's preparing the people or the circumstance for the right time to answer that prayer. So if I can't emphasize anything else, God is going to answer that prayer. It's just he's preparing, and we have to be in tune. Who are we to collaborate with? Who should I have as my prayer partner? Maybe I need to talk to somebody. It's one of those, we need to be in tune to what God wants. So I just thought about Deborah being called a mother in Israel. Now, I don't know if y'all are going to answer questions, and you don't have to answer this question. You can even give your own input, what you got out of it. But what does it mean to be a spiritual mother in your community? And this is regardless of having biological children. What would that mean to you?
Well, when I was first kind of called into the ministry, one of the titles that the Lord gave me, and it was the very first one, I was going to be a mother. Mm-hmm. Because when I prayed for people, I found myself praying for them in the role of a mother, like what is best for the children of God, what is best for those. I find myself gravitating toward those that don't have mothers. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So that's when I sense that she's the mother, that's what I sense that's really all about, is she has a mother spirit and an attitude of taking care of children and doing what is best for them, even though it might be hard. Like you said, she might have had to have several hard conversations, but she had them. She was direct,
Yes. I felt like that with, before I had grandchildren, I felt like with Sunday school and Prosper You, I was their grandmother, they were my grandchildren.
Right,
and,
right.
You just do that because I enjoyed them.
Yes.
Anybody else? I could share. There was a lady that I used to take to church back in Pittsburgh. Her name was when I met her, her name was Sister Alice. But the more time that I spent with her in that car, she eventually became Mother Alice, and she's still Mother Alice today. And I called her that, and she asked me once, she said, "Why do you call me that?" She's like, and she wasn't offended or anything, but she just asked me, like, "I've never had anybody call me Mother Alice." I'm like, "Mother Alice, you are a prayer warrior. You're so nurturing, and you pour into people." That lady would pray for her whole neighborhood if she saw something going on, and she was not shy about it. So I said, it's people like you, Mother Alice, that makes me say mom, because my mother wasn't even, in Pittsburgh. My mother lives in Illinois. But I say, you're that placemat of a mother for me. So when I hear you say that, as far as Deborah is concerned, she's the nurturer. She's the one that's pouring into people and things of that nature. So that's what I'm getting out of that role.
Yeah. I think about with my role, and I guess it goes in line, I feel more like a caregiver. It seems like I pick up on people, I observe a lot, so I can see like, oh, a person seems like they're sad today, or they seem like something is on their mind. Seem like, I noticed them limping a little bit. So I just really go with that. And I thank God, even on my job, when it's sad, and I should have put this on the prayer list, we had a lady that worked in the kitchen committed suicide. And it was just awful. And how they came to my office and just say, "Would you please come, Sister," not Sister Winnie, but "Would you please come, Winnie, and pray with the dietary?" They were just, but I just thank God for that. They can see how I come in and I speak to people. But this lady just presented so happy on the outside. But, I find myself doing that, kind of pick up on things and seem more like a nurturer, caregiver.
I see that, Whitney.
I do too. You definitely are a nurturer. Yes. And that's a blessing.
Yes.
And even nurturing, you have to say things you don't always want to say.
It's true.
But it's a blessing. I don't know if I have time for one more question.
One more question.
All right. So Barak refused to go to battle with Deborah. When has fear or hesitation stopped you from moving forward? And who is the Deborah in your life that gives you courage?
I needed to move forward to go to the fertility clinic to have children. And I did not want to go unless I knew for sure it was really God's timing and not my own, because it was one of those things I really, really wanted. And you can talk yourself into a lot of stuff. Oh, God told me I need to go now. I need to go now. But what if it wasn't him? It was me. And so I went to church that night, and my father-in-law was a pastor, and he had no idea the torment that I was going through, trying to figure out what to do next. Because I found out if I wanted children, that was the only way I was going to have them. Anyway, and he started preaching. He was preaching about the window of time that you have to move forward. And if you don't, because the Israelites, they had that window of opportunity to go to the promised land, and they hesitated. They hesitated out of fear. And then they changed their mind when Moses says, "Okay, now the door's shut." And they changed their mind and said, we're going to go. And they sent like a group of people in to try to conquer the land, and they end up being chased back into the wilderness. And then we all know the story. It took them 40 years to get out of the wilderness. And so, I think the real fear is like stepping outside of God's timing. And then sometimes it's also a fear of the unknown, like, oh, he wants me to go, but I just don't know how that's going to, but I will say this. I learned a long time ago, the Israelites didn't know how they were going to be fed in the wilderness. They got into the wilderness, then the food came, then the water came. But you can't stand on the edge of the wilderness and say, well, I just don't know if I can go. Look, I don't know if there's going to be food out there. There's not going to be any water. you sometimes have to move out, and then
You
God
do.
opens your eyes and
You
says,
do.
that's the rock that has the water in it. And then manna's coming miraculously from the sky. So I had to learn, like, it's not up to me. It's mainly up to God. It's all up to God, really. He's the one that even puts the desire in our hearts. But it is up to us to take that step of faith. So I don't know if I answered those questions, but I just learned.
No,
those
you did. You did. Because it means different things to everybody. And you're right. It's the unknown. It's the, for me, I'm always, I'm not proud of this, but it's like, are you sure, God? Are you sure you want me to say that? Are you sure you want me to do? And I mean, he almost has to hit me on the head with a neon sign. Yeah, I'm sure. Go do it.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's an insecurity is what it is. But then when I think about it, what he's told me, because reading all this, it's more than an insecurity. It's lack of faith. If he's saying do it, because the enemy's not going to tell you to do something that is going to help somebody feel better or whatever. If he's telling you to do it, then he's going to equip you.
Yeah, right. It doesn't really say, I know Moses got Aaron to go with him, but it doesn't really say that Aaron did all the talking.
No, I don't think he did.
I know. I think Aaron Moses needed like a security blanket.
Yes. Sort of like Barak. He needed that. He needed Deborah. Like, oh, no.
Yeah, right. I'm not going unless you go. Like, if I have my next venture, Carol, I'm not going unless you're going with me. Sorry.
But see, then we'll never know what was going to happen.
Yeah, right.
If you went alone like God tells you.
Yeah. Well, Lot came along with Abraham. I know they were clannish back then, and they just said, okay, the whole family's going. So Lot, you're coming because you don't have a father, and I'm kind of your makeshift father. But, even they got split up later on, because he wasn't necessary.
Human instinct. It's human instinct, If this is going to go wrong, I'm not going down alone,
Right. Right.
But yeah, I do. I think it's just, and then there is, I could have the defense of in the New Testament, we're sent out by twos, so there you go.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't think about that.
But anyway, I don't think
it's been very good. I like going over this story and reliving some of that, in light of some of the newer stories. The more recent stories, like right now I'm studying 1 Samuel, where King Saul is making some of his, he goes, well, I had to do this because the men were all leaving. And I'm like, okay, you were down to 600 men, but don't you remember the story of Gideon? He was down to 300 purposefully. So God could show him what he could do with just 300 people, because it's really all about God. It wasn't about the number of men. So and then this story really is another one that you can show to King Saul and say, okay, it was really God that delivered them.
There's nothing else that should encourage us that God's seeing it. Whatever you're going through, God sees it. He knows it. And he's going to help us. We just have to keep coming to him.
Yeah, his grace is abounding. It's abounding. It's not trickling. It's abounding.
Right.
Help us.
Right. And I always say he's maturing me. And I guess you would think I'd be mature by now, but I guess not. So.
Yeah. Well, we're all works in progress. Really
Amen.
This is good. Thank you so much, Carol.
Thank you. It was beautiful.
Thought-provoking. Very good. Really enjoyed it.